What up, YouTube? It's your boy G YouTube back at it again with another video for you. So it's been a minute, y'all. It's been a minute since I made a video, and I just been trying to graduate, man. I got that degree. Your boy secured the bag. We are officially an alumni of NJIT, so now I can just focus on making videos for y'all and just talking about basketball and continuing to try to grow this channel, man. So let's just get right into it, man. There's a lot that I missed over this past month, but let's get started talking about the playoffs. The first round, game one. All the game ones have concluded, and it was wild. None of these game ones, not a single one of them disappointed whatsoever. These were all great games, and man, let's just start from the very first game of the playoffs, the Heat Bucks. That game was crazy. Me and my fiance, who was a Heat fan, we were watching that game on the way home. I was dropping her off at her house, and we had the game on. We put the game on the dashboard so that we could see it when we were stuck in traffic. We stopped by McDonald's. We were still watching the game. It was a wild game, man, and Chris Middleton just sealed the deal. I mean, that boy Jimmy Buckets did what he could, and honestly, I really like the way that the Heat played Giannis and played Chris Middleton. I feel like the way that they were playing them, they forced Giannis to get a little bit out of his comfort zone, just a bit, and they forced Chris Middleton to step up by trying to shut out everybody else. And it was a bit of a low scoring game compared to what these teams usually score. Well, not the Heat. The Heat don't score that much, but Milwaukee, yes, they're one of the top offensive teams and defensive teams as well. But I really think the Heat could pull this out, and they're kind of my sleeper pick for this first round. I really think the Heat could pull it out in 6 games, because when you really look at it, in the grand scheme of things, Jimmy Butler did not have a great game. I mean, sure, he made up for it by having, almost a triple-double and, doing his thing, playing defense. But this man had like 6 turnovers. He shot 4 for 22, only had 17 points, and they lost by 2 in OT. And, it was up to Duncan Robinson and Goran Dragic to carry the scoring load. I know, Kendrick Nunn had like 10 points off, and he started. Iguodala didn't really do much. Dedmon didn't really do much. Hero also had a bad game coming off the bench. He scored 10 points, but he shot like 20% from the field. So when you really look at it in the grand scheme of things, I really think that the way that they're playing the Bucks is ideal, because they're forcing basically Giannis and Middleton to step up. Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday, and taking everyone else out the game. And when you look at the box score, that's pretty much essentially what happened. Brook Lopez was able to kind of get a one up on Bam for a good part of the game, but I really think that if they continue to execute this game plan where they pretty much put the entire burden on Giannis and Middleton and Holiday, I feel like they can steal this game in 6 games. That's my sleeper pick, man. I really believe that. But on to the next game. So the next game was also kind of wild. The Mavericks stealing game 1 from the Clippers. Man, that boy Luka is a problem. He is the future of this league. He had a 31-point triple-double. This boy just shows out. And even though they came up short against the Clippers last year, I really don't think that Luka is that far off from, overtaking the Clippers. Now, I don't think that they will beat the Clippers. That's my view. I really don't think they have enough defense to consistently keep stopping Kawhi and slowing down PG-13. I really don't think that's gonna happen. I really think the key for the Clippers right now is to just have some more bench production. I mean, I think that Patrick Beverley, he's gonna do what he does. He doesn't really score that much. He's really out there just kind of running around on defense. I mean, I really don't think he plays that great a defense, to be honest, for him to be starting like that. But, I really think they just need some more production, like from Reggie Jackson, Batum. Batum needs to score a little bit more than just 11 points. I mean, I think you just need to ask more from your bench for the Clippers, and I think they'll be all right. I don't think the Mavericks just have enough on defense. They're not a great defensive team. I think the Clippers probably take this series in 5-6 games. To be honest, I really don't think it's gonna. I think Luka is obviously gonna show out to every game, but Kawhi and Paul George, they're just gonna show up and take over. I think Kawhi is playing with a little bit of a vengeance on his shoulder this season, especially after how last season ended. I don't think he's gonna let that end the same way that it did. And then you got the Celtics Nets game. So the Nets, the big three, they showed out, man. Like the Celtics kept this game competitive, but it was clear that there was a gap between these two teams. I mean, I feel like the Nets, in the first quarter, they started off real slow. Their big three, they didn't really come out, guns blazing. But then after that first quarter, they kind of picked it up, and it was kind of a little bit back and forth up until the third quarter when KD just went off and they started, pulling away and breaking out that lead after halftime. But I really don't think this is going to be one of the most exciting series. I think the Celtics, you're going to see them put up a fight, but Jason Tatum, especially with Jaylen Brown being out for the rest of the season, Jason Tatum's not going to have enough to, make it super competitive. I think this is a sweep in my opinion. That's my predictions. But it was a fun game to watch as well. And the next game was also a wild game to watch because I actually stopped watching this game. At a certain point, I really thought that the Nuggets were just gonna, kind of overtake. I think I stopped watching at halftime. The Nuggets were up by like 5-6 points. I stopped watching this game, and I really wish I did it because then Damian Lillard does what Damian Lillard does, man. Dame just, he had a hell of a game. This man, how many points did he drop? I think Lillard had like 35 points, and he just opened it up in the third quarter, and they ended up winning this game by like 14 points. And that's a real steal. Originally coming into this series, I had the Nuggets, probably winning in 6 games. I think most of these games, these series in the first round, they're going to go 5, 6, 7 games because of just how the matchups are right now, at least in the Western Conference. Eastern Conference, that's probably a different story, but the Western Conference, I think is way closer than most people realize. And I think that the Blazers taking this first game, the way that they played, the way that Lillard played in particular, and the way that Melo came off the bench playing, shooting the ball efficiently, I think they'll extend this series to 6 games. Really, originally I had the Nuggets in 5, but after the way the Blazers played, I think they'll take another game. I think they even have the chance to win this, but I still favor the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic is probably going to win the MVP this season, so I really think that they'll get back up on their feet and they'll get ready for the next game at home. And this Wizards, man, the Wizards and the 76ers, I mean, it was a competitive game up until around the third quarter when the 76ers opened it up. I feel like good teams, even when it's close, even in the first half, it's all about the adjustments that they make. I think Doc Rivers made some good adjustments on guarding up Westbrook and allowing Tobias Harris more free reign and having him more as a primary ball handler afterwards rather than Ben Simmons. And Tobias Harris having 37 points, it just opened that game up. And they made it competitive, but similar to the Nets and Celtics series, it's just not gonna happen. Clearly, there's a clear gap between the Sixers and the Wizards. And I really don't think that they're gonna even get a single game. I think this is gonna be another sweep. But it's a 1 versus 8 seed. I mean, I don't know how much more you can expect, but shout out to the Wizards for even making it this far, to be honest. Especially with the way that they started the season off to get in as the 8 seed and finish as the 8 seed in the NBA, in the Eastern Conference. I think that's just a shout out to what type of season Bradley Beal has been having and what type of season Westbrook has had after the All-Star break in the second half of the season, because his first half of the season was not great. Everybody knows that. And I really, I'm gonna just applaud to them, man, for making it this far. But they getting bounced first round. And man, the Lakers, I'm gonna make a separate video on the Lakers and the Suns, and specifically just on the Lakers right now, because they're in trouble. They are in trouble. LeBron's not looking as explosive as he was. It's clear to me that that ankle injury is affecting him in some way, at least, getting to the basket. And AD just did not show up in this game. He did not. And I'm just like, man, if AD doesn't, step it up big time, they're gonna get swept. They're gonna get swept, because even though this game they were up by they won by 9 points, this game really wasn't that close. They kind of, the Lakers kind of started catching up in the fourth quarter a little bit, but this game was it didn't really look competitive for the most part. The Suns were in control, and they never, let up off the gas pedal. And yeah, man, I mean, it'll be interesting because, Chris Paul's got that injury now. It looked to hinder him a lot. He didn't take a lot of shots after that. Same thing with LeBron after his injury, which doesn't look as severe. But, Chris Paul, man, he cannot stay healthy in the playoffs to save his life. I really don't know what it is, but this man is always getting injured. So we'll see how that affects the series. I don't think it'll affect it too much. Chris Paul will, do his thing, probably not on the offensive end, but just playmaking wise, he seemed to be okay doing that. But it's really all on the Lakers. I don't think the Suns need to do any more than what they did to win this game, to win this series, unless AD really steps it up big time and becomes the alpha dog and makes this his team. Because I think this is AD's time to step it up, I really think it's time for LeBron to pass that torch, and that's when you're gonna this if anything, you have to see it this or the beginning of next season, where the torch is gonna start to be passed to AD, and this is gonna be his team. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm gonna make a separate video on this on this series by itself, and I'll probably make a couple other videos on other series, but yeah, that's something I want to do, but we'll keep it pushing for right now. The Hawks and the Knicks, man. Oh, man, bro, being a Knicks fan, that was a tough game to watch. It was a great game though. It's clear that the Knicks, as a whole, the Knicks have a more well put together team, cohesive team, better team, but the Hawks have more talent. With Bogdanovich, with Trae Young, Clint Capella, all these guys, Lou Will coming off the bench. I feel like overall, John Collins, you can't forget John Collins neither. Overall, when you look at their team and you look at each individual player, the Hawks have more talent than the Knicks. And I think that's clear. Being a Knicks fan, looking at that objectively, I don't think that's hard to say. But this team, the Knicks, I'm going to make also a separate video on this for all my Knicks fans. You feel me? I think this is worthy of a separate video, so I won't go too into it. But, man, Elfrid Payton should not be starting. He only got 8 minutes, and I'm glad he only got 8 minutes. But this man, the more he's on the court, the more he hurts the Knicks, in my opinion. And, man, Julius Randle, he had a bad game. Trae Young doing Trae Young things. I mean, you can't really hate on Trae Young, man. Everybody, in the Garden, you heard the chants F Trae Young, F Trae Young. They were going crazy in the Garden, but you got to find a way to stop him. They let him get away with way too much in the pick and roll. Tibbs got to find a way to stop that, and I'll make a video on how I think they should probably go about trying to stop Trae Young. But at the end of the day, Julius Randle's got to step it up, because we won't consistently win games with Alec Burks being our leading scorer, scoring 27 points. I mean, shouts out to Burks. He's balling out, but the star of the team is still the star of the team. You got to take control, and that's where you got to rise up in the playoffs. And last but not least, that Grizzlies Jazz game, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I stopped watching this game at the end of the first quarter. I really thought it was a done deal. I thought the Jazz were going to they were just going to pack up the Grizzlies. I thought Ja Morant was going to do his thing, but it wasn't going to be enough. And I stopped watching at the end of the first quarter. Come to find out, I get an alert on ESPN of Bogdanovich hitting a buzzer beater to beat the Jazz. I'm like, what? What did I just miss? I was kind of tired, so I went to, just go to bed. I was getting ready for bed and all that. And I just get that alert, and I'm like, huh? See, man, this is why I love the NBA. Any team can win on any given night, and I love that about the NBA. And I wish the first round was a 5-game series so there could be more upsets. But over the course of a 7-game series, I think the Jazz are just going to pull it out. They might, sweep them the rest of the way. I don't know if the Grizzlies will get another game because the Jazz, after that game, I think, they were also without Donovan Mitchell, to be honest. So the fact that the Grizzlies took care of business without, Donovan Mitchell being there, that's something you're supposed to do as another team. When the star player is out, you got to take advantage of that. So shouts out to them for taking advantage of that. John Morant obviously doing his thing. He had 26 points. Dylan Brooks also went off for 31. That man was just on fire. So, you see not having Donovan Mitchell out there, the guards, and we're able to take over a little bit. And I don't know, man. We'll see. If Donovan Mitchell is back for the next game, I think they'll probably just sweep him the rest of the way. It'll be a fairly easy series. But, hey, man, this team, the Grizzlies moving forward, they're going to be a team to watch with Jaren Jackson Jr. coming back from injury and John Morant. That duo right there, that might be something. That might be something serious, especially how John Morant is playing. We already know what John Morant's capable of, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on Jaren Jackson Jr. That man is a bucket, and he has been hurt for most of the season. I don't think he played the last 10, 15 games of the season, something like that. But hey, man, that team, they're a good young team, and they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with in the future. Seeing how these two develop, bro. And that's really all I got for y'all today. I'm gonna be making a couple videos on some of the series going on, some of the more exciting series, at least in my opinion, as a fan objectively, that you would want to watch and want to see and want to hear more about. So look out for those videos coming out. And it feels good to be back, man. It feels good to be back in front of the camera talking to all of y'all. So until my next video, I'm out.